Joining me now is Belinda Labatte, the CEO of Lomiko Metals. Great to see you again, Belinda.
It's very nice to see you, Mark.
Now, we spoke in May in New York at a conference, and it's going to be great to get an update on Lomiko and the latest developments. But just as the table setter, if you could, for those who may be not that familiar with the story of Lomiko, could you refresh and remind our viewers about the large and very well located graphite project in Quebec? And in addition to that, what you call historic support that the company has been receiving from the U.S. government and the Canadian government as well.
Yes, happy to do that. So, graphite is an important mineral for our clean energy future. It's in fact one of the 6 priority minerals or metals as defined in Canada among the 30 plus strategic minerals in the country. So we're very happy to have been developing a natural flake graphite project in Quebec, which is the home of Grenville Graphite Belt. And as such, we have one of the largest, undeveloped prospects there with just about 3 million tons of in situ graphite, and with a PEA that has defined a approximate 15-year mine life for this project. So we are also showing that the mineralization there is very good for anode use. We've done basically the rock to battery tests in smaller samples, looking to do more work in that area to really show that we have the mineral that is needed, the graphite that is needed for the clean energy revolution, and really to be used in the anode component of the EV battery. In addition, we did receive some excellent news in terms of furthering the R&D for a project like this, which does require a number of studies to meet all the regulations and permitting requirements in Quebec and in Canada. And what we received was funding from the Canadian federal government for a graphite piloting project, which is really to take a 200 metric ton sample, so a larger quantity of ore, and test it from rock to battery, and do all of that work with Quebec labs using Canadian researchers, as well as funding from the DPA, so the Defense Production Act, through the Department of Defense in the United States, which was a massive amount really for us, US $8.35 million, and that is to do all the studies to complete the PFS and also metallurgical works, as well as the definitive feasibility study. So that is some very exceptional funding and opportunity to bring in excellent funding for research and R&D in this very exciting space to take graphite to the next level and have a source of natural flake graphite here in North America, which we really don't have.
And the team has started some regional exploration work to get a better understanding, basically, of the Loutre deposit. Can you elaborate on the kind of work that's going to be done and is being done?
Absolutely. In Quebec, really what we have are claims neighboring to La Loutre. And in order to maintain those claims, we do work on them every year. And this year we have a program over 5 claims where we will be doing beep mapping, which is effectively TDEM, so time domain electromagnetic studies. And that's really to define the graphite occurrences across these claims, better understand where the mineralization is, where the anomalies are, where we might want to focus in the future. It's also an essential part of doing your R&D and understanding what is it that can possibly be developed, where do you want to focus on, and that will happen as well at the La Loutre, focusing in the middle of the claim. And it's a program that builds the knowledge base, and we're very happy to begin that approximately now and into the fall, and more results will be coming out as we go.
Now, Belinda, one of Lomiko's stated goals is to be a net zero producer. And to that end, you recently struck an arrangement with a private group that specializes in air classification technology. Can you elaborate on that and explain it?
Sure. So, I mean, the concept For sure, any project in critical minerals that is to be part of the decarbonization of our supply chain wants to achieve net zero. And you know, that takes time, it takes resources, it takes the equipment to be able to have your mine operated with either hybrid or fully electric fleet. And we're not quite there yet, but the industry is moving towards that. The air classification R&D that you're talking about is slightly different, but very, very interesting for our team, because what it allows us to do is it allows us to look at an alternative to processing the graphite as we mine it, or as we effectively get it from the open pit without the use of water. So you're using air in multiple stages, rougher, as you basically take that material and get the waste rock removed from that without the use of water. So it's a different processing platform than using a flotation plant. In fact, it would almost eliminate the use of water and tailings facilities, even though our tailings facilities, according to the PEA, are primarily dry, over 80% dry. There is still water used in a flotation system. And this alternative is really, I think, very consistent with how we want to approach our project, which is you have to do the work, you have to do the research, the development, try different technologies, really do the work to have the best possible project, the most economic project, the lowest in capital costs, and also, importantly, the one that minimizes the impact on the environment. So I would say it is part of our philosophy and vision of being net zero. And it's early days, but we're excited to work with this company and see what we can do in terms of air classification as an alternative to processing through the traditional means of flotation using water.
On another front, Belinda, we've talked before about the U.S. tariffs that are going to be coming in on Chinese electric vehicles kicking in October 1st, 100%. Tariffs there, and then a plan in a couple of years in 2026 for a 25% tariff on any graphite processed in China. Now, currently, as we know, I don't believe there's really any cars coming in from China to the United States of the EV variety. But ultimately, what do you think these tariffs will mean, and how does it potentially position Lomiko in the longer term or even intermediate term to benefit from them?
Well, I'd say to start that, you know, our investors know that a graphite project like this and a resource like this, it's really about a long-term philosophy and situation of localizing the supply chain from mine to battery and from mine all the way to clean tech, because graphite is used across many, many renewable energy technologies. So we've always been about being positioned for the long term. And tariffs are really one tool among others to reduce the amount of product that is coming onto these shores from China, but it requires alignment with countries and with a strategy that also provides for capital inducement to move into developing projects like this. So tariffs in and of themselves are one tool among others, and capital inducement, capital incentives to put money into projects like this so that we can move from resource to reserve and through the studies so that we know that we have the product available in due course to feed into the supply chain is really important. So I do think it is a signal to anybody that is buying the products or the raw material, as well as cell manufacturers, that they need an alternate source of non-China minerals, and we are one of them. And that's why it is certainly spurring more conversations with the final customer, the OEMs, manufacturers, and I think that's important. But I do think it's going to have to also come with more capital inducement. So we are part of that conversation. We are very active in progressing these notions of matching funds to companies like ours that receive grants, and to being part of the solution for domestic sources of critical minerals here in North America, so in Quebec for North America.
Belinda, there does seem to be a consensus right now among many that growth for electric vehicles has slowed down, which in many respects it has. We have seen certain OEMs pull back on their production and so on. But the other part of that equation is that growth is still very robust and double digits, around 20% last time I saw year over year. So can you speak to that?
It's an excellent question. I would agree with you. The global growth has been just over 20% in the period of January to July this year from the same period last year. The United States in the last several months has seen a 10% growth rate in the sales of electric vehicles. And so what you see in a period of massive disruption in terms of how we're consuming energy and transportation is you need the charging systems also to catch up. So there's always going to be a little bit of a dislocation around the number of vehicles sold and the infrastructure around it to support that consumption. But certainly those who are driving EVs love them. The automakers are going to continue down the path of building models that are fully electric and even hybrid, and all of those are still using electric batteries, and so they're using battery technology, including graphite. So we feel very strongly about the growth continuing over time, the electrification continuing, and supporting the need for projects like this.
As far as the shares of Lomiko Metals, the company arranged a few months ago a 10-for-1 share consolidation. And so what was the thinking there, and how was the market absorbed this and perceived it?
The share consolidation question is always a tricky one. In my experience, and having worked, as a director, pondering this question and having to go through this with Lomiko, is you will always get different opinions about whether to do one and when the right time is. And we felt that at a certain point, operating here in Canada, that the share consolidation had to happen. Because it allows for different investors to come in who want a cleaner capital structure. So it's a little bit of a pivot for the company, not an easy one, but one that we feel comfortable is another thing that shows that we are working for the future of this company. A clean capital structure allows for different investors to come in, less trading on the half penny point with algorithmic traders. So we feel that it was the right time to do this. And as such, we went ahead and did it on the back of this fantastic news coming in on the funding that is available to Lomiko that really none of our peers have. And we're very happy to be at this point and know there's work to do going forward.
Now, broadly speaking, in the commodity sector and with mining stocks, we have seen a shift lately, post-Fed rate cut of 50 basis points. There may be another one coming down the road in November of 50 basis points. And we've seen a number of initiatives in China to stimulate the economy over there. Chinese stocks have taken off. We have seen various commodities and mining stocks really been sparked. So what's your overall sense right now, the exploration sector, and whether sentiment is shifting and how Lomiko fits into that landscape?
I believe that electrification is here to stay. I mean, you can see it across all industries, that the application of battery technology using graphite as the base for the anode is still the commercially viable technology that is out there. So I do see that over the long term, the fundamentals for a natural flake graphite project where there is absolutely no future supply in North America is important. And I think we stand very well in that. And of course, we are subject to interest rate increases and now the decreases, which I think is going to allow for more liquidity over time to come into this market and support the long-term growth of projects like this. I do also think that partnerships, alliances, strategic consolidation, and bringing projects under one roof to allow for the projects to be de-risked is another important lever that we're looking at. And of course, applying the best-in-class technology to make these projects environmentally responsible as we can. So always looking at best practice from around the world. So the economic environment, certainly among all of exploration companies, whether it's graphite or any other projects, when you're not cash flowing, it is difficult because you are really looking at windows where there is capital available. And so we are managing that. And I think it's going to be important, the fundamentals where electrification is here to stay, and we are a part of that solution.
Belinda, you were sort of laying out part of the investment case there for Lomiko. Can you continue that theme? And second part of that comment or question would be, do you think the markets currently are underappreciating the story?
Yes. I mean, the underappreciation of the story is something that is really about building knowledge and telling the story about why graphite is important to have as a non-China source. And we have shown that our project has the metallurgy required to go from rock to battery and to be part of the anode of a variety of different EV applications. So the EV battery is used in everything from your phone to cars to even marine technology today, and of course battery storage. And graphite is a great heat conductor. It's used in solar panels, even hydrogen fuel cells. So the variety of uses for graphite, it's tremendous. And what we have is something that is, at the point where we are almost complete with the PFS, but it does need more studies done. And we have tremendous leverage for our investors coming in that we have more than 50% of the funds matched in the case of the US government, 75% in the case of the federal government. That allows great leverage to every invested dollar into this company. And also, we are doing the work in Quebec to ensure that our story is properly understood, that the facts and the realities of the permitting system are understood by the communities, by the stakeholders, and we are going to be following all those processes as we go forward. So I'd say yes, relative to companies that are further advanced than us or even in production, you can come in at a very good valuation and see the future potential for our project. And that is why I invested in graphite and invested in this company, and why we are continuing down the road of developing the best platform for this project to move ahead as a responsible developer in the region.
Well, thank you for the update today, Belinda. We really appreciate it. And speaking of down the road, that's where we'll catch you. We will do this again quite soon. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mark. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Belinda Labatte, she's the CEO of Lomiko Metals. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.